from my city, New York, New York City where it's gritty. Yeah, from my city, never pretty. New York City, sing it with me. Yeah, from my city, New York City where it's gritty. NYC, from my city, never pretty. Yeah. New York City, sing it with me. Now we got the Nets that move into town. New York and Brooklyn showdown, but NYC has always been a Knick town. Orange and blue, we rock the colors with pride. Let's take it back to Walt Clyde and Earl LeBron going to work on you guys. The UN era was live. It started in 85. The Twin Towers would devour you guys. R.I.P. to Dave the Butcher. We could never overlook a Knick legend up in heaven smiling down on our future. Bernard King, he was a scoring machine. He was a human wrecking ball, straight up destroying your team. There was no defense you could draw in the scheme. From post-game to mid-range, you had no chance. He would just shatter your dreams. Rod Strickland, Action Jackson, John Starks, he played with passion. Larry Johnson, Oak and Mason did a lot of party crashing. On any team who tried to step to NY. And if you put the jersey on, you better rock it with pride. Yeah. Back to live action. What up, y'all? Steelsdagreat, tip of the gambler, Knicks Talk Nation, every Monday. New time today, 8 to 9. You know what I'm saying? No longer 10 to 11, man. We got a lot going on, man. A lot to talk about today, man. Knicks definitely riding a 4-game losing streak after this weekend. It was a bad weekend for the Knicks, man. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we get into it, man, tips, man, tell everybody how your weekend was. Well, the one day that we've been on from being here yesterday, man. Tell everybody how you been, man.
My last 24 hours was pretty good. You know, I enjoyed that Dallas game. I know that much.
Shout out to Zy Flair. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Zy Flair, man. How about them Cowboys? Word up, man. Get them out of here. You know what I'm saying? Dallas is a done deal. You know what I mean? Just like my Giants, they're a done deal. But the Knicks right now, they still got a whole season to play, man. And we're going to talk about it today, man. Word up, man. Shout out to the Apple products, man. Apple products up here fumbling and stumbling and bumbling. But, you know what I'm saying? That's neither here nor there, man. As everybody knows, man, we are Knick fans. You know what I'm saying? This is Knicks Talk Nation. Like I said, we come on every week. You know what I mean? Like I said, we got a lot to talk about today. You know, a lot in Knickland happening, man. So let's talk about this last weekend, man. You know what I mean? This past weekend as far as the Knicks are concerned, you know. The Knicks, like I said before, man, they're riding a 4-game losing streak. You know what I mean? They're coming off of back-to-back losses, man. They've dropped to the number 7th seed overall in the Eastern Conference, which means they're in the play-in tournament. They're not in the top 6, so they will probably end up in a play-in format, which is not good. To top things off, they lost their number 1 shot blocker and number 1 rebounder in Mitchell Robinson. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's talk about Friday's action against Atlanta, man. The Knicks went down to Atlanta, got bludgeoned, you know what I'm saying, to the tune of 139 to 124 by the Atlanta Hawks. You know what I mean? It was a bad loss. You know, when you look at the stats for the game, and let me just give you the stats recap, man. For the game, Julius Randle, of course, continuing his all-star performance this season. He fell short of his double-double. You know, he had 32 points, grabbed 9 rebounds, dished out 6 assists, shot 50% from the field, but he went 3 for 10 from three-point range. R.J. Barrett added 23 points, grabbed 3 rebounds, dished out 2 assists, and he went 3 for 5 from three-point range. Jalen Brunson had a subpar performance, 19 points, 9 assists. I say subpar because he's been lighting it up this year thus far. You know what I mean? He only had 9 assists. Jericho Sims played big minutes, showed big dividends, scored 12 points, grabbed 8 rebounds, 0 assists. He went 6 for 6 from the field. He went perfect from the field. Now, can you imagine if they utilized him more when Mitchell Robinson was there? But hey, that's another story. We'll get to that later. Quentin Grimes rounded out the starting lineup. He only played 16 minutes, finished with 10 points, grabbed 2 rebounds, dished out 2 assists. On the bench, Emmanuel quickly led the charge with 11 points, grabbed 2 rebounds, had 1 assist. Obi Toppin played 16 minutes, scored 7 points, grabbed 3 rebounds, dished out 2 assists, 3 of 7 from the field. Now, moving on over to the Atlanta side. As I said earlier, the Knicks couldn't stop the Hawks' backcourt. DeJounte Murray had 29 points, grabbed 6 rebounds, dished out 12 assists. He shot the ball 25 times. He made more than half of his shots. Jason Collins, he grabbed 17. He scored 17 points, grabbed 9 rebounds. Trae Young added another 27 points and 6 assists to the mix. DeAndre Hunter scored 20 points, grabbed 3 rebounds, and he dished out 2 assists. He went 7-11 from the field, 3 of 7 from three-point range. And Clint Capella rounded out the starting lineup. He only had 7 points, 9 rebounds, and 1 assist. But like I said, the backcourt is who really killed the Knicks, man. And that big three, I call them the big three, but you can say big four with DeAndre Hunter adding 20 points and 3 rebounds, along with DeJounte Murray's 29 and Trae Young's 27. So that was Friday's action. As I said, the Knicks also lost the turnover battle. They turned the ball over 12 times. Besides that, everything else was pretty much even Steven, but they just couldn't stop the Hawks backcourt. And they had a lack of bench scoring. Like I said, Emmanuel Quickley was the only one that had an impact on the game. So, Tips, what do you think about that game before we get into Sunday's action?
It's all about adjustments. I know we missed Mitchell Robinson in the middle.
Yes.
The shot blocking, rebounding, and whatnot. I know we'd missed that, but he should have, what you want to call it, made adjustments along the game, but he chose not to. He still to stick to his guns and utilize Evan Fournier, But my thing is, why are they still not playing Cam Reddish? He refused to play Cam Reddish.
Well, I mean, they probably have a neutral agreement to where Cam Reddish understands that he's out of the lineup. He probably chooses not to play. I mean, realistically, would you want to play for a coach that pretty much glued you to the bench for no reason?
Eventually, he's leaving.
Hopefully, we're going to get to that too. You know what I mean? We're definitely going to get to that, man. But I just think that the Knicks problem seemed like in this game, they couldn't stop the Hawks guards, and the Hawks guards torched them. Because even Bogdan Bogdanovic scored 14 points off the bench. And, that he's another wing player. So they couldn't stop what was going on the wings. You know what I mean? The guards in the backcourt, they couldn't stop those guys for anything.
That's when it comes back to that's when it comes back to their bench.
Yeah.
You supposed to make adjustments in the game. You're not making adjustments.
Well, and as far as the bench players goes, Tibbs opened up his rotation. He actually played 9 players this game. Well, actually 9.5, not even half, because he brought in the point guard, Archidelic. He brought him in for 1 minute, but he played 9 guys consistent minutes on Friday, but quickly leading the charge with 36 minutes off the bench. 36 minutes off the bench, meaning that Quentin Grimes had a terrible game. Now, moving on over to Sunday, last night's action, yesterday's action in Toronto, homecoming for R.J. Barrett. He had a big game. R.J. Barrett scored 30 points, grabbed 7 rebounds, dished out 5 assists. He shot well from the field, 10 of 18, 4 for 8 from three-point range. He shot 6 for 9 from the free throw line. Jalen Brunson, another decent performance, added 21 points, dished out 5 assists. Julius Randle, back to his double-double ways. He scored 23 points, grabbed 19 rebounds, and dished out 8 assists, and he shot 8 for 14 from the field, which isn't bad. He went 2 of 6 from downtown. Quentin Grimes played 33 minutes, wasn't that productive, added 8 points, grabbed 5 rebounds, and dished out 4 assists, shooting 2 for 8 from the field and 2 for 6 from three-point range. So 6 of his shots and 6 of his attempts came from behind the line. We can't have that.
No.
You got to attack the rim. You got to go to the basket. Jericho Sims, another solid performance in 33 minutes. He scored 10 points, grabbed 7 rebounds, dished out 3 assists, and again, perfect from the field. He does what he's supposed to do. He sets solid screens. He crashes the boards. He does everything that you need a big man to do. He deserves to get more playing time, even when Mitchell Robinson comes back. But that's a Tibbs decision, and Tibbs has to figure it out. So what's your thoughts on that so far, Tibbs?
Tibbs got to figure a lot of things out, man.
Yeah.
He got to make on-game adjustments. He sticks to his guns from beginning to end. And you gotta. That's why he be getting out coached. When he plays Nurse in Toronto, he get out coached when he playing certain coaches because other coaches is utilizing their whole team.
Wow.
And Tibbs is not doing it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the Toronto side of things, they had 6 players in double figures, led by Fred VanVleet. He scored 28 points, dished out 3 assists, grabbed 2 rebounds. Pascal Siakam scored 24 points, grabbed 7 rebounds, dished out 6 assists. Gary Trent Jr. added another 24 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. Achiwana added 12 points, 11 rebounds, and 1 assist. And Scotty Barnes, the young star, added 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists, going 51% from the field. Now, Nick Nurse played 10 players off of his bench. And Boucher led the bench charge with 14 points and 7 rebounds. He's the big man off the bench for Toronto. But in this game, the Knicks pretty much lost the turnover battle. They turned the ball over 16 times. They also shot 69% from the free throw line. They went 18 of 26 from the line. This is an NBA franchise team we're talking about.
Yes.
You can't go 69% from the free throw line in the NBA and think that you're going to win a game. And when you look at it, that was the difference in the score of the game. The Knicks lose to Toronto 125-116 behind a poor performance from the free throw line and a carelessness of the basketball with 16 turnovers. So, your thoughts on that after hearing those troubling stats?
There was no Quickly in that game.
Yes, no Quickly that game. Quickly definitely didn't play that game.
The ones who they've been talking about in the trade did not play in that game yesterday.
Now, elaborate on that. People don't know who you're talking about.
OG, what's his name?
OG Anunoby.
Anunoby.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in trade talks of recent.
Shout out to Tips. That's some good insight.
You know, Manuel Quickly, he's been linked to a few teams, been wanting him in a trade.
Okay.
You know, so those 2 players did not play yesterday. Okay. You know, besides Cam Reddish, a few others on both sides, but those main 2 names did not play in that game yesterday.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that, you know, that Quickly didn't play, but he's our most productive player off the bench.
How about that?
If you're talking about moving him, you better be bringing somebody back that's just as productive as Emmanuel Quickly. So I get it. I get what they're trying to do. But we're just speculating because we don't know if any of it is true.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because right now, and I said this last week when I gave my LeBron theory, like the Knicks need more than just a serviceable piece coming back. The Knicks need a bona fide star. We missed out on Donovan Mitchell Jr. That may not happen for a long time. But you need to find a guy that's going to come in and immediately lift the spirits of this team, put the team on his back. Jalen Brunson has been a great shot in the arm. Yes, he has. Julius Randle is playing lights out basketball. But the difference between those 2 and a superstar is that they're not automatic. They're not buckets. They're not a Kevin Durant. They're not a Giannis Antetokounmpo. They're not a Ja Morant. You know what I mean? They're not a LeBron James in his prime. They're not a Carmelo Anthony in his prime. These guys are serviceable players on a decent basketball team that has a bunch of guys with the same skill set. You know what I mean? So the Knicks need to figure out what they're going to do moving forward because it's murderer's row coming up these next few games. But before we get into it, let's talk about Mitchell Robinson, man, and the update on Mitchell Robinson. So Mitchell Robinson successfully underwent surgery last Thursday at the hospital for special surgery after tests revealed that he suffered a fractured right thumb in Wednesday's home loss to the Washington Wizards. He will be reevaluated in 3 weeks, the team said, but he is likely to be out for much longer than the 3 weeks that they're anticipating, which means we're in a lot of trouble. So when you hear that, Tips, what's your immediate thoughts when you hear that?
They need to start looking for a serviceable big man until then.
I mean, looking for one, or do we have one already? I just broke down how Jericho Sims is playing great minutes, solid minutes.
Right. They need to
get rid of Isaiah Hartenstein.
Hartenstein, he had a very bad game yesterday. And I feel going forward, the Knicks can do better than Hartenstein. You know?
Yeah.
There's a few serviceable, I say, not prime, serviceable big men that's out there.
Absolutely.
In trades, you know. Maybe the Knicks might need to explore one of those options.
Well, that'll be great if they can. You know what I mean? But, it remains to be seen, man, what they really will do because, again, I mean, yes, losing Mitchell Robinson, you lose a great defensive anchor, you lose a rebounder on the offensive end, defensive end, but Jericho Sims has shown that he can fit the bill as far as being efficient, being effective when he's on the floor, because going perfect from the field in both of his games, that's not anything to sneeze at. You know what I mean? He went 4 for 4 in Atlanta and then 5 for 5 in Toronto. That's saying something. He's grabbing boards. He's playing his part. And I think that he's eventually the insurance policy for Mitchell Robinson moving forward, because Robinson has proven to be injury prone since he's been here. He got that bag. He's been injury prone. And shout out to everybody checking in on Facebook. Shout out to everybody checking in on YouTube. Shout out to everybody listening live on Bars and Hoops Radio. The number to call in if you want to chime in to tonight's topic, 516-206-0711. The Knicks are, like you see, looking at a potential 7-game losing streak. You know what I mean? And,
they got Cleveland tomorrow.
They have talk about it, Tips. So we got Murderers Row potentially coming
They got Cleveland tomorrow. They got Brooklyn tomorrow, on Saturday.
At home for Cleveland. Then they have Boston on Thursday.
Oh, Boston on
Thursday.
Thursday.
At Boston on Thursday. And the game that will be in the building for in Brooklyn against the Nets minus KD. So what's the worst case scenario? Like the title says, we are looking at a 7-game losing streak heading into the end of this week. I didn't even go past this week because it's going to be a rough week, with these next 3 games. We got Donovan Mitchell coming back to the Garden. You know what I mean? I think that he's really going to have something to prove when he comes back. Donovan Mitchell, who we could have had, by the way, I might add. You know what I mean? He's coming to the Garden.
We ain't going to have nobody in the middle.
And we ain't going to have nobody in the middle. And he's going to be looking to have a field day at home in front of his dad, in front of the Mets, in front of the Knicks that turned him down. Well, that didn't turn him down, but didn't put enough on the table to get him. And he may have a little bitterness on his mind because he even said that he thought he was going to be a Knick. When he was doing his New York tour, throughout the Rucker Park tournaments, throughout the Met games, everybody that questioned him and asked him things, he swore up and down he was going to be a Knick. Mm-hmm. And through the back channels, he heard he was going to be a Knick, but it just didn't materialize because ultimately the Knicks didn't want to give up too much. Now, what too much is, we don't know what too much is because they never really put anything on the table for us to really understand what it was. All I can remember was, I believe RJ Barrett was the one that was the breaking point for any deals, but that remains to be seen. So
would you let RJ Barrett go on one of those deals?
I mean, hindsight being 2020, hell yeah, I would. I mean, don't get me wrong. And
for the right price, of course.
For the right price. And and I know what Knicks fans out there are going to say. It's typical Knicks thinking. It's typical Knicks movements by getting rid of guys that the Knicks draft for other team stars. But at the end of the day, man, when you look at the Knicks roster, man, I mean, we have nothing but first-round draft picks for the past 3-4 years that we kept. Obi Toppin, RJ Barrett, and somebody else I'm missing right now. It's not coming to my head. But we have we at least have our last 2 first-round picks. The only one that we got rid of was Kristaps Porzingis.
Right.
At the end of the day, you're gonna have to get rid of one of them because you got a lot of other young, talented players on the bench. We're not gonna see an OKC team that we saw when they left from Seattle and came to OKC with KD, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. We're not going to see young teams like that anymore. I mean, right now, the closest thing to that is Memphis because they drafted Ja Morant. They drafted Jarian Grant. They drafted Desmond Bane. That's great. That's probably the new OKC of this millennium. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You don't see too many teams building their teams like that nowadays. I mean, that's the new motto. But again, you have to draft well. You have to have some great talent evaluators in the front office to make those type of decisions to build that type of team. The Knicks haven't shown that they have that right now. And we're going to get to that. I got my trivia questions for the end of the show. You know what I mean? I don't know if you got any tips, but I got about a good 5 that'll keep everybody entertained and stumped at the end of the day. But the Knicks have notoriously blown drafts. We can talk about Michael Sweetney. We can talk about the draft where we drafted in 1996.
Jordan Hill too.
Jordan Hill. Oh my God. Jordan Hill. That was an interesting draft too. And I got that's part of something down the line. But I'm not going to spoil it. But Boston. If you look at Boston's team, they drafted well, but they added veteran leadership like Al Horford. White from San Antonio came over, played a great role. Malcolm Brogdon came and played. It's a Blake Griffin sighting today. So Boston is building and doing things the right way. You know what I mean? They have a mixture of young stars and veteran leadership that's actually contributing to what they're doing. And if you look at any of the Knicks teams historically, and I spoke about it last week, name me one Knicks team that made it to the NBA Finals that didn't have a mixture of superstars and great veteran leadership. Name me one. That didn't make it. It's only with so many you can choose because the Knicks only made the finals about 4 times in franchise history.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? In the 70s twice. In the 90s twice. After that, they haven't made it. The furthest that we made it with veteran leadership and young guns was to the conference semifinals. And that's season. That wasn't the shortened season. That was the 54-win season when we had Carmelo Anthony and we lost to the Indiana Pacers led by Paul George. And at the time, it's the big man that blocked Carmelo Anthony and that became a poster. Roy Hibbert.
Yeah,
Roy Hibbert. You know what I mean? So any other Knicks team, when you look back at it, has never prospered or went far without veteran leadership and young stars. You know what I mean? So the Knicks have to go back to that formula if they want to basically move forward and make some noise in the playoffs, in the near future. Because right now they're the 7th seed. Right now as it stands. We don't know how far they're gonna go, now that they're basically on the outside looking in. No Mitchell Robinson in sight. A bunch of questions have to be answered before next month's trade deadline. My LeBron theory isn't gonna happen this season. Can possibly happen in the offseason, but doesn't look like it's gonna happen anytime soon. So let's get back to Murderers Row. Like I said, the Knicks play Cleveland tomorrow, at Boston on Thursday, and at Brooklyn on Saturday, which we will be in the building. Me and my man Tips. And shout out to Super Dave, made it happen for the crew. You know what I mean? We will be there on Saturday. So what's the best case scenario with this upcoming schedule for this week?
1 and 3.
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
1 and 2. And that one win comes from where? You got Cleveland at home, which the Knicks are terrible at home. You have Boston on the road, and you have at Brooklyn, which is sort of like a home game. But 1 and 3.
I might go for the Brooklyn game.
And I feel the same way. So
I might go for the Brooklyn game.
Yeah. The worst case scenario is that we'll have a 7-game losing streak going into the end of this week. The best case scenario is that, we head into Brooklyn and beat the Nets without Kevin Durant. But we got to also keep in mind that the Nets do have Kyrie Irving, and Kyrie Irving went berserk last night in Golden State, and the game before that, he went berserk as well. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't even get over my heels and start counting that as a gimme. You know what I mean? That may not be a gimme. That may be a game that the Knicks have to work to win because Nick Claxton is a decent center. He came into his own. Now that Mitchell Robinson is out, we might have our work cut out for us that game, Tips. You know what I mean? I don't want to sound too confident.
No, I don't want to sound confident, but it's going to be a good game as long as they play everybody who they need to play.
Yes. Yeah, they have to play everybody that they need to play because that's a must. That's a must.
That's a must.
You got to win that game without a guy like KD. And if you don't win that game, you're going to fall further and further out of playoff contention. You know what I mean? And right now,
they don't want that.
They don't want that. But again, Mitchell Robinson, just going back to losing him, he's an interior defensive presence. He blocks shots. He also grabs offensive and defensive rebounds, and that's a big hole to fill. But like we said before, Jericho Sims is filling the bill at that position. You know what I mean? For real. So before we get into any more Knicks talk, we're going to take a short music break, man, to regroup, get our scruples together. And then when we come back, man, we're going to talk about some of these trade rumors that are floating around right now. And at the end, we're going to get into some Knicks trivia, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget, the number to call in is 516-206-0711. Bars and Hoops Radio. Check in with us.
It's like y'all can't do nothing without me. Everything be going good, but then y'all pull me in and mess everything up. Why y'all always let me win? I be trying to find the best way they can stop me cold. Another body, and guess who the cause and why they foes? Beef is my name, my story is age old. So question, why do I always come to take souls? I'm everywhere in the hearts of men. Jealousy and envy, my right hands, them is my mans. I'm what happens on mad blocks. I'm the jabs taking in talks. The arguments between the women in the crab leg spots. That behind the back, complex and multifaceted. Lesson to the real, I'll be decimal. Subtract the shit, the devil is a lie. I could confuse a genius, have him moving real dumb over nothing at my convenience. When empires fall over women, I am the reason. USA and Al-Qaeda, I'm the tension between them. I'm the words to get misinterpreted. I'm the get back, I'm the first to hit. I'm the worst of it, lurking on your premises. I am your nemesis, parents of every slain rapper wish I didn't exist. But I'm alive and I thrive on your ignorance. I'm 1,000-foot fence that keep you from getting rich, get around me. I be trying to find the best way they can stop me cold. Another body, and guess who the cause and why they foes? Beef is my name, my story is age old. So question, why do I always come to take souls? I be trying to find the best way they can stop me cold. Another body, and guess who the cause and why they foes? Beef is my name, my story is age old. So question, why do I always come to take souls? I'm the invasion of personal space. Fake smiles on your face is certain I'm hate. All that internet beef, that shit a virgin in me. I've been here before the Bible is murder I speak. The energy creeping round the blocks in the streets. Took his guys with him shopping, they side eyeing to please. Everybody's impossible, it don't stop in the peas. I'm eternal, I'm everywhere the action at. I'm always where the guns are blazing, attracting that. The grimiest places is my natural habitat. In all the jails and all the parties I be. Drive-bys with kids that killed accidentally. That's the type of shit they try to pin to me. In the tragic situation, give me my identity. The beef cut off the fat, that's sizzling grease. Love to many deceased over me. I be trying to find the best way they can stop me cold. Another body, and guess who the cause and why they foes? Beef is my name, my story is age old. So question, why do I always come to take souls? I be trying to find the best way they can stop me cold. Another body, and guess who the cause and why they foes? Beef is my name, my story is age old. So question, why do I always come to take souls?
People got me in some shit every day. Over this, over that, over nothing, over something. Either way,
it's on. Why it's always gotta be resorting to me? I ain't asked for this power, it's torture. It forced me to see people draining themselves. Some pull off some horrible deeds. Rumors turning into a monster, lies always mislead. By the time you hear what somebody said, it's stressed out. They expanded it, made it worse. Now you all stressed out. You wish you got it straightened out, but it's too far gone. From who shot you to hit 'em up, the Tupac song.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Hey, yo, I got a pistol when it's staying by me. I got a lot of issues, so my death is anticipated highly. That was me facilitating robberies. I'm like a hardware store. I take a key and start making copies. Kill me, it's gonna take a posse. You thinking wisely, and I refuse to let you dudes patronize me. I charge 100 for an eighth of broccoli. You heard about me, I got enough greenhouses to play Monopoly. Caught cases selling yang in lobbies. Few bitches I fuck had ugly faces with amazing bodies. I'm frustrated when a hater buy me. I took my bank statements and made a diary. That's great advisory, huh? I ain't waiting till the label sign me. I had illegal empires that probably generate the same as Ghazi's. I remember playing on them side streets. Then I built a brand with my brothers like the Wayans and the Osleys.
Yeah, I know you probably heard I gave them crumbs. Then I made a run and rap, gave it back and donated funds. Provided jobs for my neighbor's sons, built foundations to save the slums while talking about cocaine and guns. My ex told me we don't date because I'm too self-centered. I spent more time counting than making love. A contractor, I could make a plug. I contacted with a load and a number sweeter than maple syrup. That first $1 million gave me courage. I'm FaceTiming bosses, talking in the camera like I'm Katie Kerr. Can't hear you, my new Mercedes purring. Ain't a day that I ain't earned or a favor a nigga ain't returned. I'm booked in cities, put work in them same towns, stepped on it. I came down with footwork like I'm James Brown. And don't mistake the shit that they say for the same style. These street politics for civilians, I break down. I straddle lines of cracking rhymes. But this old school lack of minds look like I just traveled back in time. I shedded weight, my crew half the size. Nigga, I built a band with my brothers like the Jackson 5.
Thoughts of matching us, then your plan's absurd. Could get you whacked before the search. You'll be tortured before the lamb is served. I handle birds like Mike on the roof. I'm likely to shoot. You understand my nerves. You would if you knew the depth of what Amber heard. Judge slamming gavels, the verdict's guilty. Watch rain emerge. Blood-stained apparel, the furs is filthy. I damage furs. I ain't got no plan to splurge. Time to hit the block. Yeah, I'ma slam the curb. You ain't built to withstand the purge. Get you killed for some grams of herb. Dirt cheap. First night home from prison's the worst sleep. Violated the first week. I was raised on these cursed streets and often torn. Shit. If you don't bump into the devil 3 times a day, then you walking with him. How my wicked lawyer beat all them charges. I'm off regardless. Got some bodies that's decomposing in lost garages. These crosshairs is how I cross my targets. Live off the harvest with my band of brothers like we was on the barges. Duff, the Butch,
Trust.
I'm not a rapper, B, I ski Uzis. And I can't act, turned down 3 movies. Got 3 groupies, took from 3 goofies. It's a rap here, we gon' pin them 3 doobies. Yo, respect the crooks, respect the look. 1 leg out the drop, like respect the foot. Before you get the watch, go respect the book. If you get got, you got, just respect the jokes, nigga. They still unaware of this red cat, putting up red stacks, ready to tear tracks. Ever since a kid, bubble bears and Air Max. When you do it big, be prepared for fair facts, a fair fact. Like what's up, high sun down when we run by, the gun high. Nick with the cannon sound like a drum line. We front line, front you and ready. Make sure to come by the flow deli for Mo Fetty. It's only 1 eye. This for the shooters, cocaine coppers, movers, not name droppers. Always quick to step on the scale like Weight Watchers. Mix the Tom Brown with Chanel, go plane watchers, go chain rockers, flame choppers, can't stop us. We be the council, high nigga, that's me, 2 fly niggas. Bank Matthews, Dave Hyatt, I'm High Fisher. Take raffles, which buy a surprise winner. More birds than air fryer, surprise dinners.
My rise vicious, took money, my mind switches, VVS and wine wishes, big nose, disguise witness, lost too many on the journey, yeah, glad I'm alive, bitches. Bitch, you can't line me up with God's clippers. A nigga tell me 999 stitches. What time I'm stronger, my glow is my body armor. Dog, your favorite rapper can't see these hands, just like he holler. 20 bodies every state, 30 grand in my Nike joggers. About 100 niggas pillaged in cities, we might be fathers. Through all adversity, I'ma get it regardless. I'm back to shining, performing with accurate timing. Look back at the lag reclining. 13 was cracking diamonds. Rap demons been clowning the fuck out with static, it's back to rhyming. Push your motherfucking cup up and toast to this masterminding. Money talks, big pack of diamonds. Don't catch a beating sore. Window and staircase either or. Nothing you seen before. The bag I'm in is 14 keys you all. Without style, I can teach you more. Made it stuck up the sneaker store. Took me 3 weeks or more. Stolen out of the Four Seasons store. Ain't no catching up, nigga. You see the score.
We true New Yorkers and Gucci joggers. I move through Harlem. Consignment flow like I got it from Fritz. I'm cool as autumn. Recruited sponsors that pull up in trucks that move like Tonka. Hit the States and became great. I feel like Luka Doncic. Put on my labor, delivered it rotten. Made sure I stayed close to a bill like Hillary Rodham. Grew up as menaces, had continuous issues and problems. Asking about pistols, we got them. Used to be the playground, now bitches we swing them and slide them. How could you beef with your partner? Shake up to the feet, designer. Wake up with a freak named Tanya. Make up on my sheet, she wildin'. Taking out, I'm eating Italian. Trick what? Lace who? Nah, that ain't what Dave do. If you was about your paper, they'd have paid you. Ungrateful is the worst trade. I got on some shit, it's hard to pronounce what my shirt say. I caught the sign flu. At the same time, I hung it for more. In front of the store, jacket, army fatigue. It looked like I wanted a war. In front of your board, niggas are robbed you. Somebody killed you, and it get poured. Run through your city like we still on tour. Count up $1 million right on the floor. I got the spirit of Mr. Shakur. Spit in the camera, swear you ain't got all the answers. Watch who you letting in circle. I see niggas turning to cancer. How you tell them about body cell? They never heard of the Panthers. Question after question about this life. I deserve me some answers. College dropout serving the campus. Deserve me a mansion.
Back to live action.
Yeah.
Word up, man. Had to get a little music break. Get our scruples back in order. You know what I mean? Word, man. So we at the halfway point of the show, man. So we got to talk a little bit about the rumors that's been floating around out there, man. Of course, you know, a lot of trade rumors are swirling around the Knicks organization. The trade deadline is February the 13th, for those that don't know. And the Knicks have a lot of pieces that they can add to a team that'll be willing to play ball with them. They got a lot of pieces that they can add to a trade. They got young players, they got draft picks, they have star players, but at what price do you make a deal when it comes to the Knicks right now? Because let's be honest, Tips, as you see the Knicks currently constructed, what would turn them into a contending team? What deal would have to happen in order for them to become a contending team this upcoming trade deadline? I'll let you ponder on that for a second. What can they do at the trade deadline that can improve the team to make them a serious contender in the East?
Somebody who want to come and help New York. Get back to the old days of them winning games, you know, get into the playoffs. Who is the person now?
Now we, as Knicks fans, we always say the old days, right? We always say the old days, and then we say, yeah, we got to get back to those old days. But what old days are we talking about? We talking about the 70s? Or we talking about the 90s when we were just that run-of-the-mill team that was in a hamster wheel that would always make it to the playoffs and then get stopped by the Bulls because we don't have that Jordan player? Like, what's the old days?
We need a Latrell Sprewell type of player.
Shout out to Sprewell, man. Yeah, the New York Knicks embraced Sprewell when he came here. Yes, they did.
They need that type of a player to come here. And with what they have now, make a run.
Okay.
You know, not lose too many pieces in the trade to get somebody here and your team is depleted.
Now, I think that's a big mistake that we make too as Knicks fans. A lot of us deal with that scorned mentality, and not just saying you, Tips, but a lot of fans in the fan base, they look back at that Melo trade and say that was the worst trade that the Knicks ever made, when in all actuality, it wasn't. Melo made the team relevant for many years after that. He made them watchable. He made people want to come to the Garden and watch them. Now they gave up a bunch of pieces that ended up not even lasting in the league 5 years after that trade went down. Danilo Gallinari has been constantly injured. He's still in the NBA, but he's on the injury list right now. He's been injured damn near every year since that trade happened. Wilson Chandler is no longer in the league. Raymond Felton No longer in the league.
He's a commentator for the Toronto Raptors in his fat man suit on.
Who, Raymond Felton?
Yes.
Well, hey, man, is he even from Canada? Come on, man. What are we talking about?
Still need a check.
Hey, man, he need a check. And he was in New York. He was toting them hammers around like it was sweet. We ain't forget about that, Raymond Felton. That? So I get what people are saying. We did deplete our team to the point where we didn't have a bench. But part of that is on Knicks management at the time. Donnie Walsh, he was forced by Dolan, allegedly, to make the move. Yes. Phil Jackson compounded the problem when he came here and he amnestied Chauncey Billups to sign Tyson Chandler to a big contract where he made the lineup even more clunky and goofy than it was already being. Tyson Chandler was the only defensive player that we had, just like Mitchell Robinson is the only real defensive player that we have in the middle right now. Old way of thinking of basketball. They never got the help that they needed off the bench to help the Knicks succeed while Carmelo Anthony was here. Amari Stoudemire was in his bag and in his feelings because he was no longer the number one option. Let's keep it a buck. He wasn't too happy that Carmelo Anthony came in. Let's not act like he was. He wasn't happy. He felt like the Knicks basically pushed him to the back when they brought Melo here. But at the end of the day, just like this Donovan Mitchell trade, rarely do you have guys willing to come here in their prime to make a change. You know what I mean? And what's the coalition between Donovan Mitchell and Carmelo Anthony? They're both New York guys. Carmelo Anthony was born in New York. Yes, he grew up in Baltimore, but his roots is in Brooklyn, New York, and he wanted to be here. Just like Donovan Mitchell. He's a Westchester kid. He wanted to play for the Knicks. His father is part of the Mets organization. Baseball was one of his loves. But anyway, we're crying over spilt milk at this point. So let's talk about some things that has happened right now, right? So the Lakers acquired Rui Hachimura from the Washington Wizards for Kendrick Nunn and 3 second-round picks. They got 3 second-round picks from the Washington Wizards. Now, I guess second round is better than nothing because as the Lakers currently stand right now, they don't have any first-round picks until 2027 and until 2029. So I guess they're looking forward to building the draft through the second round of the NBA draft this coming year and the next few years moving forward. So the Lakers are finalizing a trade with the Washington Wizards for, like I said before, Kendrick Nunn and 3 second-round picks for Richie Hachimura. Hachimura has been on their trade block for at least 1 week, only a week. And Washington already traded him. He's gone already. So Hachimura was the 9th overall pick in 2019, but the Wizards has a surplus of players at forward and would like to re-sign Kyle Kuzma. Does that sound familiar? Sound like a Knick problem, right?
Yeah, sound like it.
We got a log jam at shooting guard, right? We got all these guards, but we can't seem to get rid of anybody to get anything. You know,
they're asking prices. The Knicks' asking prices is kind of crazy.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I mean, what more can you got to get players because we got picks already. And shout out to Zah. He said that he was hurt. You know what I mean? Kendrick Nunn was hurt. Yes, he was. Hachimura didn't. He wasn't hurt the other day. He had an actual career high the other game yesterday, I believe, or the day before yesterday. Put up about 30-something points.
Yeah, Saturday. I think it was Saturday.
Yeah, 30-something points on Saturday. So, you know, hey, man, he's one of the first Black Japanese players in the NBA. Shout out to him. You know what I'm saying? So, what does this mean, right? What was the name? What was the teams that was linked to Cam Reddish before this trade?
Before the trade, you had LA, Miami, and
who did LeBron James keep asking for? Cam Reddish, right? Every time you turn around, you hear LeBron James mentioning the Lakers need to get Cam Reddish. Well, now that thing seems like a thing of the past because Hachimura is a better version of Cam Reddish at this point in time of his career, more promising.
Only reason why everybody feels that way because Hachimura was playing. Cam Reddish is not playing.
So
you stunting his growth.
Now, while I agree to a degree, I sort of disagree because when I see Cam Reddish, I'm not going to lie to you, Tips. I see a guy that has a world of potential. You know what I mean? I see a guy that has a world of potential, but I also see a guy that doesn't look like he really works on his game in the offseason as much. He looks like a kid that got by in life, and this is just me speculating, but from what I see on the court, he looks like a kid that had natural abilities and never really worked on his natural abilities. And he got this far just off his God-given talent, but he didn't work hard after he got here. And I think that's why he didn't get a chance in Atlanta. It can't just be New York. He got selected by the Hawks, who are a lottery team when they selected him. He was a lottery pick. You know what I mean? And you mean to tell me that they couldn't utilize him? So he comes to New York. At first, when he got here, Tibbs wasn't giving him any burn. We understand that. But again, they practice every day, Tibbs. Go ahead. They practice every day. Tell me why.
First of all, when the season first started and the Knicks had to go on the road and play 5 West Coast teams, the Knicks finished that West Coast trip, won 3 games out of the 5.
Let's go.
Cam Reddish was playing.
Yes, he was.
Cam Reddish was leading the team in scoring in that little short period of time run.
Yes, he was.
Grimes didn't start playing right away in the beginning because he was
hurt.
The Randall you have now is not the Randall that you had then.
Understood.
And RJ Barrett always starts off slow.
Hey, man.
It is what it is. He always starts off slow.
Yes.
So you telling me in that little short period of time, you didn't see nothing promising from Cam Reddish? Right after that, you put him straight to the pine and you don't play him no more? That's kind of awkward.
It is awkward. It is. And I got on Tibbs about that because I felt like, he at the end of the day could have did a better job with his rotations. But after looking at Cam Reddish for an extensive period of time while he was getting all that playing time, one of the biggest things that was glaring to me was his shot selection. He had poor shot selection, very poor shot selection, and even Clyde would call him out on that in some games. Like his shot selection was horrible. You know what I mean? As a guard that is a slasher, he can knock down a 3 from time to time. And, he wasn't really that great of a defender. Like when they brought him here, people were saying that he's a defender, 3-and-D guy. When he got here, we didn't see that. You know what I mean? I'm just off of my observation. I don't know what you saw with him. I mean, if you, please tell me if you saw anything different from him when he was on the court. And it, like I said, it looks like a guy that's not dedicated to being in the gym working on his game. His handle isn't all that great. You know what I mean? His stamina didn't look up to par to be such a young, slim guy. I just didn't see a kid, to me, that was hungry enough to stay in the rotation or to push Tibbs to play him more than other guys. Maybe I'm wrong. But you tell me, that one road trip that they had, he did well, but then he was relegated to the bench again.
Because Grimes was starting after them.
And why do they play Grimes?
Because Grimes played defense.
And he's also a knockdown 3-point shooter.
Right. But
he's been struggling lately, though.
But in the on side of that, you need somebody tall and lanky to cover the perimeter.
That's a fact.
To guard some of that 3.
That's a fact. And that's what Cam can be. And we know Tibbs rides with defense more than anything. So if Cam at least brought that side of the ball to the table, I think Tibbs would have probably given him a little bit more consideration. That's just my personal opinion. I think
the whole coaching staff for the New York Knicks doesn't do much development.
Ooh, that's an indictment because this is a new regime right here.
Tibbs has a tendency to stun a lot of good players that came out of college growth.
Yes.
He didn't know what he had in Quentin Grimes until he started playing him.
He didn't.
He didn't know what he had in McBride until McBride went down to the G League and torched the G League for a few games.
That's a fact.
He didn't know these things.
That's a fact.
I feel, what are these assistant coaches on this Knicks team doing?
And shout out to Johnny Bryant.
Stop looking good. Stop trying to look good for the camera and coach some of these players.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Tibbs can't do everything. You got to help Tibbs out if Tibbs don't see it.
But is Tibbs willing to take the advice too?
He took the advice to play the young players now.
Well, he knew his job was on the line because that came from the front office. Like, yo, you got to start playing these kids.
The front office might have to sit him down again.
Yeah, they might have to.
You know?
But as it remains, like you said earlier, the Heat is also in the hunt for Cam Reddish. So they say. I don't see a need for him on the Heat as well. They already got Tyler Hero. They got Duncan. Like, who are you really?
Well, they shopping Duncan Robinson.
Well, Duncan Robinson.
They are shopping him. They is shopping Kyle Lowry.
Yes.
They are shopping those guys.
So I won't lie to you. I would, and the rumor is that the Knicks are trying to get a second-round pick for Cam Reddish, which makes no sense because they gave up a first-round pick for Cam Reddish, which makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. So Duncan Robinson, that's a name that I would like to see. Why? Because he's a three-point shooter. And what do the Knicks lack? Consistency from the three-point line. They take a lot of threes, but they don't have that knockdown guy that when you get it to him, he's super efficient. Evan Fournier was supposed to be that guy, but again, he doesn't play enough defense and he doesn't crack Tibbs' rotation. What happened to him? He was playing just last week.
He played yesterday.
He played yesterday for a bit, a stint, and that was it. You know what I mean? So a lot of the players' dysfunctions come from Tibbs and his rotation. So we get that. So we got to be on the lookout for that. So
they got about 2 more weeks? Trade deadlines be over about
trade
2 more weeks.
February 13th is the trade deadline.
Oh, 3 weeks. Okay.
Yeah, 3 weeks to get something to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So now we reached the point of our show, man. We got about 9-10 minutes left in the show, man. And I put together some trivia questions, man. You know, these something to make you think a little bit. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody out there, Nick Land. Shout out to everybody out there, Facebook and YouTube that's checking in with us, man. So these questions are basically Knicks-based questions. You know what I'm saying? That's going to make you think a little bit. So the first question that I have for today, we kind of partially answered it earlier. I'll give away the hint. So 2009 was the draft that we missed. Steph Curry by 1 pick. Who did the Knicks select at number 8? And who were some of the names that they missed out on after missing out on Steph Curry?
2009.
2009.
DeMarco Rose and Drew Holiday, Jeff Teague.
Shout out to Tips out there cheating. He out there cheating. He didn't answer the question, but he out there cheating. So the Knicks did draft Jordan Hill. Yes, they drafted Jordan Hill. They missed out on DeMar DeRozan at
Drew
number
Holiday.
9, Brandon Jennings at number 10. Drew Holiday was selected 17. Ty Lawson was selected 18. And Jeff Teague was selected 19th overall in that 2009 draft.
And that Collison, Darren Collison?
Yeah, Darren Collison also was a name that they missed out on
26
in that draft.
21st
pick in that draft. But the names that we mentioned, DeMar DeRozan is still killing the NBA right now. Brandon Jennings is no longer in the league.
No.
Drew Holiday is helping. He had a championship, got a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yes.
Ty Lawson no longer in the league. Jeff Teague no longer in the league, but he was a serviceable guard in Atlanta, and Ty Lawson was a serviceable guard in Denver for many years before he exited the league.
Yes.
So, what year was Stephon Marbury traded to the Knicks?
Was it
And I don't have my buzzer today, so don't worry.
early 2000s?
I ain't say what. I ain't earlier than not. It's like
No.
what year specifically? What year?
I'm narrowing it down.
Yeah, narrow it down.
Around 02, 03, around there, 05.
Close. So the Knicks draft, they traded for Stephon Marbury in 2004. So January 5th, 2004, the Phoenix Suns traded Stephon Marbury and Anthony Hardaway and center Krzyzewski Trubinsky to the Knicks for guards Howard Isley, Charlie Ward, Milos Viljanic, Makche Lampe, and Antonio McDyess for the rights of the 2004 first-round pick that turned into Kirk Snyder and a 2010 first-round pick. Look at that trade there. Now, look at who was traded. That's why I say people sit there and get on Isaiah Thomas. Look at who he got rid of to get a guy like Stephon Marbury in the prime of his career. And yes, we had to take back the bad contract of Penny Hardaway, but we got the point guard that we needed at the time, and we got rid of players like Howard Isley, Charlie Ward, Milos Vuljanic, I can't pronounce his name again, Makche Lampe, and a hurt Antonio McDyson. We brought back Stephon Marbury. Yes, we gave up a 2004 draft pick, but hey, man, we had to get Stephon Marbury, and Isaiah had to do something. He brought in the prodigal son from New York City that had the Knicks sizzling for a few days, for a few years.
For a few years.
They made the playoffs that year, and we were swept by the New Jersey Nets at the time, led by Jason Kidd, Kerry Kittles, Kenyon Martin, Richard Jefferson. They had a crew. Vince Carter, yeah. Vince Carter was there, not Kerry Kittles. Yep. Vince Sanity and Jason Kidd. We got swept that playoff series, but they were triple teaming Stephon Marbury that year. And we also got Tim Thomas that year as well. What NBA team drafted Bernard King?
What NBA team
drafted Bernard King? Scott Tips going to Google right there in front of everybody on the camera.
No, I'm not going.
Check him out. What NBA team drafted Bernard King?
76ers?
Nah, not even close. I mean, it's same coast, but not close. You close though. Come on, Tips. You're a Knicks fan, man. You're supposed to know this stuff, man. What NBA team drafted Bernard King?
The Nets.
The New Jersey Nets drafted Bernard King. That is correct. For real. Okay.
That was the AB. They were the ABA Nets, right?
No. It was the NBA.
Okay.
It was NBA. New Jersey Nets. They drafted him. Mm-hmm. What team did the Knicks make a trade with for Bernard King?
He got drafted by the Nets.
He got drafted by the Nets. He only played with the Nets for 2 seasons. So, what team eventually made the trade with the Knicks to bring Bernard King home? Again, what team did the Knicks make a trade with for Bernard King? Bernard King never played for the Milwaukee Bucks. Bernard King has only played for 3 NBA franchises.
The Knicks, the Nets.
And the team that you didn't name is who made the trade with the Knicks for Bernard King.
He didn't go to Boston. He didn't go to Atlanta.
Shout out to Tips. No, it wasn't Atlanta. So the team that Bernard King killed for before he came to the Knicks was the Washington Bullets.
The Bullets.
The Bullets. He played for the Washington Bullets. Yes. And they made the trade for him in 84, 83, I believe. It was before Ewing, if I'm not mistaken. Now, the last question that I have.
But he was on the team with Ewing for like a year.
Yeah. And he played for a year with Ewing.
Right.
Yeah, he only played with Ewing for a year. He got hurt, matter of fact, I think before Ewing came.
Before Ewing came.
Yeah, with his knee.
Right.
And it never materialized into what it could have been.
They were on the court, right.
Yeah, if they could have played together, that would have been a hell of a duo. Yeah, that would have been a great duo. That's a huge what if in Knick land. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, the last question for all of our Knick fans out there. Who was the first slam dunk champion that the Knicks ever had?
Skywalker.
Kenny Skywalker. Shout out to Tips. You got that one with no problem. You know what I'm saying? Word up, man. Don't forget, man, Knicks Talk Nation every week. We're changing the days to everybody that has been checking in with us. We're going to now move the days to Sundays. Sundays from 6 to 7, live here on Bars and Hoops Radio. You know what I mean? Mondays is a little hectic to be on late at night. So we're going to move the day to Sunday, make it a little bit more comfortable for everybody out there everywhere. We might have some extra guests on the show on Sundays as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that. So don't forget, man, Download the Bars and Hoops radio app for Apple and Android users.
Please
visit
do.
the Bars and Hoops website every day at barsandhoops.com. You can shop, you can listen to music, and you can check out all the other cool things that Bars and Hoops is involved in. So until next week, Steels the Great, Tip of the Gambler, Knicks Talk Nation Radio, we are signing off. Peace.
Peace.